Welcome to the Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe podcast, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. My name is Renee, and I am so glad to be here this week. My guest is Debbie Weiss. With over 50 years of experience dealing with some of life's toughest challenges, Debbie is an inspirational expert in chasing your own dreams in spite of your circumstances. For the majority of her life, Debbie had a victim mentality. She was a victim of circumstances like weight struggles, becoming a family caregiver at the age of 17, infertility struggles, a son with special needs, and most recently, becoming a widow. Approximately 10 years ago, Debbie realized the problem wasn't her circumstances, the problem was her. Her life and mindset have completely changed. She is here today to inspire others to do the same. Debbie is a best selling author of a memoir. On second thought, maybe I can, as well as a co author in an Amazon bestseller collaborative book, Heart Whispers. Also, a fellow Libra. Debbie and I celebrate together in this episode. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Welcome to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe. I am so excited for my guest today, Debbie.
Hey,
Thank you
so
for coming
happy.
on.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fantastic.
Oh, I am so excited. I just can't wait. I just want to dive right in. I always like to start the show by asking all guests what's their mental victory vibe celebration. So, Debbie, what have you done for yourself lately?
Well, in 2 hours, I'll be laying on a massage table. Does that count? Because
It
I need it.
does.
I need it, like all the things, right? My mind is just swirling, most of them with really, really good stuff. Um, so that's one thing. Can I share another very exciting
Yes, please.
lifelong thing?
Yes.
I'm looking at my calendar where we're taping right now. It's about 10 more days until I turn 60 years old. And I am taking a trip to Italy with 3 of my friends. And it has been a lifelong dream of mine to go there. This is my first time. And it's finally coming true.
So wait a minute. First of all, we got to celebrate because it's Libra season. Because my birthday is 2 weeks from next week. It's next Friday,
Wait,
actually.
next.
Yeah,
Oh, so
October
yours
6th.
is mine be right before mine. So yours is October 6th. I'm leaving for Italy the 5th. Mine's the 9th. So I'll be in Italy on my
So,
60th.
so let's just take a moment right there to just celebrate Libra season. Whoop,
That's
whoop.
right.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
I do. I'm with you. Totally. Oh,
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to travel to Italy and to be able to do those things. I've been doing a lot of things in Central America.
oh,
Like
nice.
that's a good place for me to go and just hide. I like to just be.
Isn't
It's
it funny
beautiful.
how we each like feel drawn to a different area? Like you felt drawn before you were even there. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
We'll have a sequel when I come back, let you know if Italy was my place, but it's always been number 1 on my list. And I'm not Italian or anything. So
Yeah. Central America is it for me. Like to retire in Costa Rica is really my dream.
what is it about that
It's just I love the weather. I love the crazy as it seems, the humidity feels good to me.
Hmm, okay. That is
And
crazy.
and I love the people. I love the food. I love the people. I just love the entire atmosphere. I really fell in love with Belize when I was there. It was hard for me to come back. I actually was depressed when I came back.
Wow.
So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Okay. So many people say that about Costa Rica, so, maybe that'll be my next trip.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, I loved it. Oh. So, what's your personal empowerment theme song?
Oh my goodness, I forgot you were gonna ask me that question, to tell you the truth. My personal empowerment theme song. You know, The thing that comes to mind is when I first got started with meditation, which was extremely uncomfortable for me. And the
Mhm.
very first experience I had with it was in a yoga class where there was no music, there was no nothing. It was a silent meditation for 15 minutes. And it was very uncomfortable for me.
Oh.
But at the end, I said, I had the most amazing thing happen to me during this meditation. My mind started singing, I Will Survive. It's not like I heard that Gloria Gaynor song. It's not like it's ever been one of my favorite songs. There was a
Mhm.
time, obviously very popular and all of that, but it never really resonated with me. And
Mhm.
in that season of my life, it was a very difficult one. And the fact that that song popped into my head, I feel happened for a reason.
Wanna know something that's really crazy?
Yeah.
You're saying the Gloria Gaynor song, "I Will Survive," but when I asked you that question, the song that popped in my head was "I Am a Survivor." Survivor. I started thinking about Destiny Child. Yeah.
Wow.
So, we both in survival mode today. It's life is
Yep.
lifing. It's busy, you know?
Exactly, exactly, and we've all been through, seasons, and that was that
Okay?
that time was the season for me, let's just say that.
Mhm, and we all been there, I'm telling you. So, tell us your backstory.
My backstory, okay, so, at 17, I became a caregiver to my dad. My dad had a stroke at 45 years old, and my parents were soon divorced after that, and luckily, he did survive, but was permanently disabled, and I was his caregiver for the next 30 years of my life. And then when I had my oldest son, he was diagnosed on the autistic spectrum when he was a toddler. And, all moms, all parents are caregivers, but having a child who has special needs is kind of kicks it up a notch.
Mm,
And then my husband became physically and mentally ill. Um, a slow process over time, but then the last 5 years kind of accelerated. And so I was his caregiver as well. And so for the last 45 years of my life has been about caring for everyone else, solving everyone else's problems, um, running a business, worrying about my employees, my clients, my everything,
mm,
as so many of us women do. And around 50, I had an epiphany where I realized I don't know how many more years I have, but I don't want to be that person that gets to the end of my life and is laying in that bed with regrets for having not done anything in my life that I wanted. And I didn't even know what I wanted. I still am not sure, right? But I didn't even have a dream, or I couldn't even say, oh, well, I always wanted to, do X and I never did because I was a caregiver. Nope. I think maybe it was because I became a caregiver at such a young age.
mhm.
I never had a chance to know what I wanted, who I was. And at 50, I had that aha moment and said, you know what? It's up to me. Nobody's going to come and change my life for me. I'm the one who has to do it. And I never realized I had that control. And that didn't mean stopping to care for my loved ones because
Mhm.
I haven't and I didn't. But I can do that as well as care for myself. And that's what I've done.
I love that the aha moment was, I can still keep believing in the dream that I wanna have. So
Yep.
often we can forget that because we're so consumed with what's happening at the moment, what our responsibilities in life at the time, that we forget to dream. And it's nice
Exactly.
that you had an opportunity like that. 50 was like, hey, let's do it. And when I turned 50, for me, it was like, okay, I want to be sexy now. How do I do that?
Oh,
What does that mean? Because it
yeah.
was about my kids for so long.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I get
Yeah.
that.
I don't know, it was something about the 50 number that, I don't know what it was. To me, it was like half a century or thinking to myself, well, there's a good chance more than half my life is over, right? Like, so
Yeah.
if
Isn't
not
it something to
now,
think of it that way?
yeah.
I saw a video on TikTok. Sometimes my TikTok, I talk about
Yeah.
TikTok on my podcast too much, but I'm on TikTok, okay?
Okay.
And it was a video about people in their 50s and older and how many summers we have left.
Oh, I don't even wanna hear that number.
And it talked about enjoying every summer. So if I don't call you, or if I'm not hanging out with you, or if I'm not doing this, that, and the third, it is because I am enjoying every single summer. And what you're saying reminds me of that video.
I love that. First of all, let me tell you, did I tell you? I went viral on TikTok.
Wow.
I had a viral video, me. I can't believe it.
I'm in
You
the
just never
200
kn
count jail. Like TikTok be like, okay, Renee, it's 225, 250. That's good enough for you. You need to back it on up.
No. No, I was never even close to it. It just goes to show I didn't even know it was happening because 'cause I'm not a TikTok person, but a all the videos I make were getting posted, and one day it
Yeah.
happened, 3.7 million views.
Wow, that's great.
It was crazy. I was freaking out. What do I do? What do I do? I felt like what do I do with all of this? I feel like I should know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And now I'm back down to 300 views, but that's okay. It was
What I
exciting.
love about TikTok though is it's so many talented people in the world.
Yeah.
And TikTok is an opportunity to go and see all of these different types of talent. I get some of my best laughs. If I'm having a day that's kind of like, I don't really know if I'm gonna really want to be nice to you. I'll go
Yeah.
on TikTok. Okay, I'm laughing for 2 hours. It's like I didn't have a bad day at all.
Yep, I know. That's what I think I'm afraid because so many of my friends, like I have one friend, she says, "You've got to see this baby I follow. I can't stand. You know what he did today?
I follow a poodle.
A poodle. I would love that too.
The poodle's name is Noodles.
Noodles the poodle, how cute.
Yes. Noodles can tell me all about my life. I'd be like, that's right. That's how I felt. The last video I saw, Noodles had UGG boots on. I was like, I get that. I get that. So it's
Oh,
a great thing.
that
It is. It's a great way to just see. I think that so many talented people in this world, and growing up like in the 80s and in the 90s, you really didn't see that, but now you get to see that.
it's true.
You
It's
know.
so true. So true. And, not only talent, but the thing I think that is really wonderful about it is it's great when you connect with someone and
Mhm.
you're not alone in whatever is going on because so often without social media you could feel so isolated
Oh
because
yes.
what were the chances that you were connected to somebody else who was going through something so similar to you? I mean,
Oh
if they
yes.
weren't in your community, that was that, and now you can find them, and
Yes,
that's a
it's
good
this
thing
one
too.
chick that talks about growing up as a Gen Zer. And she talks, and some of the things that she says, and some of the things that our parents used to say. One day I was sitting there, I was like, man, it's like they were all talking in Morse code or something, because my mom said the same thing.
Yep,
So
yep,
it is a great way to connect. It is. Yeah.
definitely.
So I want to talk about your book. We
Oh,
could talk
okay.
about TikTok. That's a whole nother
Yeah, I
podcast,
know.
girl. I want to talk about your book.
Oh, yeah, okay. If we have to.
We gotta stay with the topic at hand.
Okay, yes,
That's all.
ma'am.
We can talk about TikTok. That's a whole nother discussion.
This is true.
So, like, tell me about your book. Like, I'm stoked right now because first of all, we're Libras. You can't help but love another Libra. I mean,
That's
that's just
right.
how it
That's
is.
right. Not
Libras
only
stand up.
Libras, just 3 days apart,
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
So and I'm gonna clown for the next month because I do believe that I
Oh my
deserve
gosh. Me too. Me too. I wonder, is that a Libra thing and I didn't know it?
it. No, because I have a sister that's a Virgo, and she celebrates the whole month
Oh,
too.
see? As a matter of fact, I just said I'm gonna be 60. It was 2 weeks from
Girl,
Monday, and I haven't even talked about it. What am I doing? Like, what
that's
why
right.
aren't this is the year I should be really going hard.
Had I known, I would have been prepared. You know, I like to sing. I might still get that song in toward the
Okay.
end.
All right.
I didn't say
That'll
I
work.
could sing. I just said I liked.
That's okay, and I like to dance. I like to sing too, but
So speaking of aha moments, let's just
mhm.
get right into it.
Okay.
What types of excuses or circumstances were you using as a reason to tell yourself you couldn't do something?
Pretty much everything.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I lived in a victim mindset, a victim mentality for the majority of my life.
Mm,
I felt sorry for myself, but yet whenever I say this, I feel like you picture like a Debbie Downer, but I wasn't like that on the outside. Even the people around me were like, "Gosh, stuff just seems to happen to you all the time. Like, when's it ever going to end?" And I thought, well, I guess this is my destiny. This is my path in life, and I don't have a choice. I didn't realize that I didn't have a choice.
mm,
And I was very big on always saying, I can't. Whether it was because I was afraid of whatever it was, and when I'm saying afraid, I don't mean, oh, someone asked me to go, scale a mountain afraid. It could be something so minor. It was, no, I'm not creative. No, I can't ski, which I tried and I really can't, but at least now I know that I can't without the I'm good with sneakers, but don't give me roller skates or skis or anything. The sneakers are for me, nothing else. Um, and I just always had an excuse. I always had an excuse to kind of stay in my I don't even wanna I guess my comfort zone, but I don't wanna say my unhappy life either because I had many good things and I'm so blessed with so many things. So to say it was unhappy is ridiculous. It's just really to say, life circumstances were beating me down,
mhm.
and I felt alone in that because the people around me just their circumstances weren't as difficult as mine were
I can
over a long
understand that
span of
though.
years.
Yeah, I can understand that though, because it's so easy to look out and see what's happening with someone else and say, "Oh, it's so easy. Look what they're doing. This is so much better for them." And you're not walking in their shoes. You're just on the outside looking in. So I can relate to that.
Yeah, and that comparison thing is just such a killer and never a
Oh
good
my
idea,
gosh.
but so difficult to not do. And I don't know, I guess I just never stopped to think we all have circumstances.
Yes, we do.
Hello, and it doesn't matter.
Yes.
This isn't a contest. And even though, like you said, okay, maybe I don't know what you're dealing with, but I'm really comparing myself to like the people I did know and knew what they were dealing with. Well,
Mhm.
there are a handful of people. And not that God forbid, I'm not wishing anything bad on anybody. Who knows what's going to happen down the line? And it just doesn't work like that. And I didn't realize it was me. It was taking myself out of the equation. It was saying, "Oh, I have nothing to do with everything that's happening around me," which maybe I didn't. It's not my fault that my father had a stroke and all of these things, but um it's my response to them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I never realized. I never realized, Oh, I have a choice in how I
Mhm.
respond to that person, that event, that circumstance. It was just happening, that phrase, it's happening to me instead of for me. Either way, it's happening, let's say. Now it's my decision how I'm going to respond. And as I said, I wouldn't choose anything different as far as my caregiving.
Mhm.
I not saying I wouldn't take care of my family. I would, and I wouldn't change that, but not to the exclusion of forgetting about myself.
Yeah, and it's easy to do that. It's easy
Oh,
to do that,
very.
especially caregivers. Mothers are nurturers, even dads. Dads become the nurturers. They put themselves to the wayside. And all the time, a lot of the conversations that we have are around women because, as a woman, I can relate to another woman, but there are men out there that have that same circumstance and feel that same isolation and suffocation because they just want some time to themselves.
Yes,
Doesn't mean that they're suffocated by a person and it's a bad situation. They just need some time to themselves. And we
absolutely.
we experience that. We do,
We do.
you
And
know.
yeah, um,
What
I
was your
think
aha moment? When did you go from I can't to I can?
so. I had an aha moment, but it wasn't a flip of a switch, if that makes
Takes
sense.
time.
So when I turned 50, since I do love my birthday so much, and I was I was turning 50 and I was in a difficult stage of life, and my friend said, "That's it. We're taking you away for 2 nights. We're going to go to Bermuda
Mm,
and you've got to get away from everything that's going on in your world." And I remember being so petrified. How was I going to leave my husband because he had anxiety, and then I, was leaving him in a stressful situation with my kids and whatnot. And I said, I can't go. It's going to give me more stress to go than it is to stay here. And they insisted. And I thought, well, the whole time I'm just going to be worried. And the four of us met up at the airport.
mhm.
And from the minute we met, the laughter started. I forgot my family members' names. I rarely thought of them the whole time. I thought, "Why only 2 nights? This should have been longer." And when we were there, we had so much fun. And one night we were at dinner having a discussion, and, it turned a little bit serious, everyone talking about their hopes, dreams, whatever. And since we were laughing the whole time, I said to them, you know, did people used to know me for my laugh? And so I haven't really let the whole loud cackle out yet, but it's in there. And so it's kind of distinctive. So when I was younger, people
Mhm.
did used to know me for my laugh. And I had literally forgotten that. Like, I was really asking them, like, "Is
Wow.
this a thing? Did I make this up?" And they all, looked at me like, "Are you kidding me right now?" And I realized, "Oh my gosh, I lost myself." I
Yeah.
literally lost myself. And that's kind of when I had that aha moment. And then from that time until now, literally 10 years later, and the evolution will still continue very slowly, not really consciously doing it. I
Mhm.
started changing little things in my life. I started being little more open to experimenting with how I approached things. I
Yeah.
became a little more open-minded instead of I don't do that. I
Yeah.
don't meditate. I can't,
Yeah, this
blah,
is the
blah,
way
blah.
I've always done it. This is yeah, yeah, when you step outside of that limiting belief box, it's
Yep.
like your mind opens up and you're like, "Whoa."
What else is out there that I don't know?
Exactly.
Bring
It
it
changes
on.
the look of so many different things. It changes how certain foods taste.
Yeah, everything.
It
It
just it changes it.
it changes something so small as, trying something new, especially when you find something new that you like. It
Mhm.
literally changes your outlook on life. It
Yeah.
does, because now things become exciting.
Yeah. I can remember going to my first hot yoga class.
Me
And I
too.
was like, I am going to be like I've always been a curvaceous chick, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna be the biggest chick up in here. I can't do the moves. What if it's too hot? You know, this, that, and the third. So I get in this little corner, you know, and I'm thinking I'm in the corner. If my poses don't look like everybody else's, that's okay. And the instructor, her name is Denise, and this was at the yoga house. She was like welcoming and open and do what you can. And I was hooked after that because I had never felt as free as I felt on that mat with all sweat and everything. And we were all just on our mat. It didn't matter what they were doing 2 mats over, doing the mat in front of you. It was just what you do on your mat. And it was my first hot yoga class. And I remember being in Shavasana at the end. And I just started to cry
Yeah.
because I couldn't believe, first, that I made it through, and second, how free I felt at that time. So I get that. I get that because I never thought I could do it. I can't bend my body that way. I can't, you know, all of these things I'm telling myself I can't do. And I just went and I tried.
You know, it's so funny that we really are connected, I swear. Um, I that was one of the things that I tried. I have a friend who's a big yogi, and I'm like, all the reasons why I can't, including that I see those yoga ladies coming out of the classes. I see what their bodies look like. Mine does not look like that. My friends look like the yoga ladies. Um, I didn't know it was hot yoga, or I guess maybe I hadn't thought through what hot yoga actually meant. So when I got in the class, and it was not, unfortunately, my first class was not that welcoming instructor, because the instructor sets the tone for the whole class,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so right away, it kind of launched into like this flow. And I was 52 moves behind them, and I didn't know what any of the terms meant. Right. So I didn't know what I was doing. And then and then when she said, you can come here and rest in downward dog, and I thought, rest? Is she out of her mind? I can't hold myself up like this. This is resting.
Right. No upper body strength. You're like, I can't.
Exactly. So then I go into child's pose, and the woman comes and she's pushing my butt down because my
Denise
butt
did that
is
to me
sticking
too.
up.
She was like, you can get down further. I was like, oh.
And then I can't breathe, because then I found out what hot meant. And I thought, I'm too embarrassed to walk out. So they're going to have to call 911 when they realize I'm on the floor not breathing. It was like so traumatic. But after but I made it through. I felt the physical benefits,
Yeah.
and I powered through. I didn't stick with that instructor, but it opened my mind a little bit to say, well, let me try this. Let me try slow yoga. Let me try, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so because
Yeah.
I made it, and I thought nothing could be worse than that. So let me try the alternative. And I did eventually land it with a place, actually a 5 a.m. yoga
Wow.
community, 3 days a week. I actually got in my car, but it's right around the block. And we had only like 4 or 5 people who were committed to showing up at that time. A wonderful instructor, and it was life-changing. I mean, unfortunately, COVID affected it, and that was the end. And, I'm still
Yeah.
in search of, but that never would have happened if I hadn't opened myself up.
Well, it turned out for me, I thought it was hot and it was really a warm flow fusion, but it was so many people in there, it was close to 100 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
But
So
it was a dynamic group. It was very welcoming. It was
so
just
that's
a
so
great
nice.
experience to have because I never had that experience before. And I put limitations on myself. So
Me
I
too.
understand what you're saying because our mindset, we will put so many limitations on what we're capable of doing, what we're striving to do, even dreaming.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to step outside of that, it's like seeing life again for the first time, you know?
Absolutely.
But the question still remains, you know, why do we wait so long?
Right? You know, gosh, I'm gonna mess this up, but what is it like? Wisdom is this isn't it, but like wisdom is wasted on older people. Like you should live backwards, right? You should start with the wisdom that you have at 100 and think of what you'd be doing then at 20,
Mhm.
because maybe it's just you have to learn for yourself. Probably it's just like everything else that you someone can talk to you until you're blue in the face,
Yes.
but you've got to experience it on your own. You've
I'm
got to,
so glad that I have new experiences. I say this all the time, especially with podcasting.
yeah,
Some of the folks that and the people that I've met, you know,
exactly.
new friendships,
Exactly. It's
you
the
know,
best.
it's and they're on the other side of the world.
Isn't it amazing? I think I my goodness, we're one you and I are one mind, okay? Because I think exactly the same thing. Every time I click, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, look at this amazing person I met." It blows my mind. All right, I have to have a little commercial break, not a commercial break, but my dog is barking. I don't know if you can hear it. So I'm thinking maybe if he gets on camera, he'll be excited.
Okay.
It's not working. Anyway, keep talking. Gonna see if Sure. Everybody wants to see you, or they want you to just be quiet.
How has your daily life changed? This is
Oh,
hilarious.
I know.
Me talking,
I,
people are gonna be like, "What is going?"
I
First,
know. Well,
first they're gonna say,
this
"Where's
is
the
life, right? This is
right?"
life.
They're gonna say,
Like
"Where's her
life is
backdrop?"
not
Like,
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
where is it? It's gone. Look, it wasn't working for me today. Okay, you have to see my green wall in the vision board.
Which is nice. I love that vision board.
So it's just the day.
It
Life is
is.
life in.
That's it. But we're making it work.
Yes. So I have one more question for you. I can't wait to hear your answer.
Oh dear.
What advice would you give your younger self to
Oh.
help cultivate self trust?
So actually in my book, I talk about this that I was never a girl with a quote. Like when I was younger, even like in junior high school, in the yearbooks, they'd be like, "Oh, what's the quote that you live by?" Quote? Like, what are you kidding me? You're telling me that this 13-year-old has a quote that they live by? Because I didn't have one. And then in high school, they ask again, right? And I thought, oh, thank goodness that's over. And then when social media first came on the scene, people were like putting their quotes in. And I never had a quote. And before I wrote the book, one day I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but something bookish, and something popped into my head and I was like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant. Did I make that up? I hope I made that up because that sounds so good." And I thought, "Let me Google." And I didn't make it up. It was Glinda the Good Witch who said, "You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself."
Mm,
And let me tell you, how many times have I heard that quote? How many times did I watch The Wizard of Oz, which scared the bejesus out of me when I was a little girl, and even now, don't really love part of it. And you know how you hear something and all of a sudden you hear something completely different.
mhm.
And I thought, you mean it wasn't just like Dorothy, all you had to do was click your heels and you go home? There was more meaning than that that I never was attuned to. And that it would be my advice to know that I have the power. You have the
Wow.
power inside of you to do whatever you set your mind to.
I've
You are
noticed.
the one stopping yourself. Nobody else, not all the limiting beliefs. And I wanted to say to you before, my biggest limiting belief has always been about how my body looks because
Me
I've
too.
had a weight problem from the minute that I was born.
Too.
And it's been the pervasive theme of my life, and I've allowed it to impact me. And why? So maybe for some, it's not your weight. It could be, I had a friend who she didn't think she was smart enough, whatever your limiting belief is, we all have them. And they're
They're not
beliefs.
facts.
They're not truths.
Yeah, they're not facts. And the moment you realize that they're not facts, you like, it's like the chains are broken.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm with you. I didn't have a quote that I lived by either, but I have one now. And I would listen and hear, and I'm an avid reader. I love to read. But it was certain things would stick, certain things wouldn't. And as I started this journey and all of the discovery that I'm seeking to find for myself, I happened to come across my quote. So
And
I understand that, and I think about it. I hear it in my head when times are tough, and you want to know the crazy part? It's a Maya Angelou quote,
okay.
but I started reading her books. I was probably like 13, 14 years old, but what she was saying and what it meant,
See? Same thing.
oh, it was many years. I was probably like 50, 48, 50, somewhere. And I was like, ah. So I understand that.
Well, so what is it? What are you waiting? What are
Oh,
you waiting for?
my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive and to do so with passion, compassion, humor, and style.
Oh my gosh.
It says so much in that
Chills. It certainly does. It
because
says
it
it
takes
all.
you from scarcity mindset to flourishing mindset. She's like, come on. She's told me, and I know she told me this. Y'all think, oh, Renee, you just no. What I heard is Renee, step your game up, and it's okay to do so. And
Yep.
look good when you're doing it, girl.
Yep.
you know? And it was funny because I have an older sister. She's 13 months older than me. Now, my sister gets up to go to the grocery store. She dialed to the nines. So when I started doing my podcasting and especially being on YouTube and I'd have on a little lipstick, she'd be so excited. Yeah. But
That's
she
so
told me to
funny.
step my game up. And I said, okay. And when I get sad or when I get down, I repeat that quote to myself
Yep.
because I have a mission in this life,
Mhm. You sure do.
you know?
That's
Oh, it's
amazing.
been such a pleasure to have you on this girl on this
I don't
podcast.
want this to end, but can't we do it another time too? I didn't
We're
even
gonna have to because
say anything.
I think the Libras just showed up and showed out today.
Totally. Totally.
So where can me timers find your book?
So wherever books are sold online, Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, all of that, it's on second thought, maybe I can, or on my website, Debbie R, the R is very important, Weiss. Not that I wanted it to be important, but you know how those URLs work. That
Yeah.
Debbie Weiss in California, that realtor, she got my darn website before I could. So I had to add that middle initial, the name I never wanted to say. And now I have to say R all the time. Robin, that's the middle name. I've made peace with it. It's not so terrible. But yeah, so DebbieRWeiss.com.
Debbie, it's been a pleasure.
Oh,
Like
same
I
to you.
enjoyed
Happy
this so much.
birthday.
Thank you. And girl, let me tell you something. Enjoy Italy.
I
And
will.
when you sipping on the wine, think about me. Think
I
about your
will.
other Libran.
I'll think about you because it'll be my first day there on October 6th.
Girl, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
I gotcha.
Thank you so much for coming on and don't be a stranger. I
Mm-mm.
hope you come back on again.
Anytime, I'd love to.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
me
you.
timers, you heard it here first. Maybe I can with Debbie. And where's your time to be kind to your mind? Have a great day.